first, he came for Mexico and Canada. Now he's coming for us. Yep, President Trump's tariff war is heading down under. So just how much could it cost us?
All bets are off in the world trade sphere now.
We are not being carved out. We're not being left alone.
Another day, another Trump punch. But this time, it's us in the firing line.
Any steel coming into the United States is going to have a 25% tariff. Aluminium too, 25% for both.
Trump announcing blanket 25% steel and aluminium tariffs on
Everybody.
We've been caught up in a global trade war.
The consequence, steel and aluminium will become more expensive for buyers, demand likely to plummet.
It's going to hurt the Australian economy. We're an exporting nation.
Last year, Australia exported $640 million worth of steel and $440 million worth of aluminium to the US.
At the moment, it's not affecting most Australians directly, but when tariff wars start going up, when trade wars starts happening, consumers are the ones who always end up worse off.
Trump imposed tariffs on steel and aluminium when he was last president too. But that time, we managed to negotiate our way out.
This is a test to see whether Anthony Albanese's previous remarks and Kevin Rudd's previous remarks about President Trump has done this nation harm, and I hope not.
The government scrambling to secure another exemption.
I have a discussion with President Trump scheduled.
While Trump agreed to pause proposed tariffs on Mexico and Canada last week,
it is either an incredible win or an embarrassing blink.
Trump has made good on his threat to impose an extra 10% tax on Chinese goods. So as the Trump tariff battle begins, will Trump blink?
There was no blinking.
Can we dodge the bullet?
There's going to be a reshaping of things, and it really means we have to kind of look out for ourselves.
The big question then is who's next and what's next?
Well, we're live from the lands of the Kulin Nation. Nick Bryant covered the last Trump presidency for the BBC. Lucky for Nick, it's happening all over again, and he joins us now. Nick, last time Australia dodged the tariff bullet, do you think we can do it again?
Key difference this time, Hamish. Trump is a lot tougher. He's a lot more vengeful. His love affair with tariffs is a lot more passionate. And he's a lot more unpredictable. Another key difference, last time you had Malcolm Turnbull as Prime Minister going into bat for you. Trump respected Turnbull. They got off to a terrible start in their first telephone call together. But after that, because Turnbull refused to be bullied by Trump, he got a lot of respect for him. Trump respected Turnbull's wealth. He respected the fact that he had a business background. He respected that he was a lawyer. As he once put it, he's the guy that kept my mate Kerry Packer out of jail. Not that there was any suggestion that Kerry Packer was ever going to end up in jail. Anthony Albanese is going to have a different relationship with Donald Trump, and that, I think, is a very key difference.
Nick, we also had an ambassador called Joe Hockey who played golf with Donald Trump. This time we got Kevin Rudd in the embassy there. He's called Donald Trump the most destructive president in history. I'm not sure Donald Trump's going to be picking up the phone to Rudd.
Yeah, I do think that is a problem. I mean, Joe Hockey, as you said, did have a very warm relationship with the Trump White House. Golf was a point of, convergence. They both love golf. Kevin Rudd, they tolerate at best, they dislike as well. And the fact that he's also called Trump a village idiot, and Trump in that famous interview with Nigel Farage, the British politician, said that he might not be around long and that he was a nasty individual. But, Steve, I think the key negotiator here isn't Kevin Rudd. And I also think that that's not a reason to sort of make Rudd a sacrificial lamb. If you show weakness to Donald Trump, he exploits it. He doesn't respect that. So if Albo was to offer up Kevin Rudd in a kind of sacrificial way, I just don't think that's the way to go.
But hang on, Nick, we're an ally with a massive trade surplus in their favour, not to mention we are shelling out billions for submarines. Does that count for anything?
Yeah, it does. And one of the strongest arguments that Turnbull made last time was that America runs a trade surplus with Australia, and it's the countries that export more to to America than import are the ones that he really hates. So that gets Australia off the hook to a certain extent. Turnbull also made a very specific argument. He mentioned this rooftop company in California, and he told Trump it was cheaper for them to import from Australia than it was to drive the steel across from the Midwest. And it just happened, I'm sure Turnbull knew this, Trump actually had dealt with that company. He knew their ruse, and that was an argument that really sort of pinged for him in his head. But the alliance is going to be useful as well. But what happened in the first administration was Trump often beat up America's closest allies more so than he beat up America's adversaries.
Nick, it sounds like Kevin Rudd is the problem to me as the ambassador. Can we just replace him with someone that Trump liked? Like maybe Greg Norman, he's a big fan. Or I've got another solution, Steve Price. Can play golf, can get a deal done.
Not sure about that.
Well, I was going to say, if you were going to replace him with anybody, you know, Greg Norman's the one to do it. And you remember Greg Norman played a key role in the early days when the Turnbull government was trying to reach out to Trump. Everybody was so shocked that they hadn't really established sort of diplomatic channels with the incoming Trump administration. It was Greg Norman who really helped Australia in that moment. Perhaps Greg Norman can help Australia now. Perhaps they should offer, you know, a 3-day golf holiday with Greg Norman, something like that.
BYO Marga Cap. Nick, thanks for your time.
My pleasure.
Ambassador Price does have a ring to it, doesn't it?
Does indeed. Got a lawn tennis court there and everything.